Season 3, Episode 17, where we watch Castaways. Season 1, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
Robert Kitts.
This is James.
Ooh, buddy. That's a show.
That was a show.
I mean,
that was something.
this is a... I don't know how to describe the show, but it feels very different.
It is different. That's definitely true.
Can you give me the show description, Rob?
I got your show description. Castaways is a revolutionary series testing the human need for companionship under extreme circumstances. As each individual learns there are other castaways out there but are unaware of how many, their locations, or when they will be rescued. This visually stunning new reality series follows 12 diverse individuals as they're dropped alone throughout various islets in Indonesia and challenged to survive among washed-up luggage, scattered resources, and abandoned structures. The only way to leave the remote islands is to persevere long enough to be rescued or to quit. As dramatic situations unfold on an expanse of islands in the South Pacific, the series flashes back to the real lives of each participant in documentary fashion, demonstrating haunting parallels to the lives they left behind. Castaways on ABC.
Whew, there you have it.
Man.
I was gonna say it's a really solid description, although I gotta at least ding them on the visually stunning remark.
They definitely throw in a couple extra adjectives in here to really punch it up.
It is a show description. I mean,
They're definitely selling you on it, which I can't blame them for.
so the show is definitely them trying to bring Lost into a reality show somehow.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Is 100% just what if like Lost happened for real,
But like
without all the crazy shit. Like they're just like what happened like episode 1 of Lost, right? You're
somewhat. I mean,
We've
there's
got
definitely
people, they're stranded.
differences.
What would happen?
Well, on Lost, they're all on like one beach together, so they mix up a little bit by spreading them out. But
Well, they already had Lost, the reality show. It was called Survivor.
I think there's some core differences, and we should get into it.
This show is more Lost, the reality show, than Survivor.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
but if you just take the first episode of Lost and turn that into a reality show,
yeah.
that's Survivor.
I mean, I'll definitely give you and I got into this with some other friends earlier in the day when I was telling them about the show that we were going to watch, which is, wait, it sounds like you're just describing Survivor. And I think the key difference is that Survivor is in this bucket of a competition reality show. And this is very clearly not a competition reality show, but more of a documentary style reality show.
Yeah, if Harrison was here, I'm sure he'd bring up, we don't know the stakes of this show.
Yeah, there are no
stakes.
There are no real stakes. Like, man, there's a lot going on in the show, but I feel like it takes a lot of aspects of a lot of other shows, which is like I feel like I see a lot of like Naked and Afraid in here, where it's like you take some people and you're gonna see how they're gonna survive. It's got like the Survivor thing, like hey, you're all in this destination, like random island somewhere, like interesting, and then you just combine with like Big Brother, where it's like we're just gonna take 12 people and put them somewhere and just see what the hell happens.
Do they do that though?
Sort of.
Like on the show?
Yeah.
Are you thinking are you getting like some of the production kind of like set up
well,
stuff?
there are definitely some production things we'll have to get into.
We'll have to get into that. So essentially, what the show is like just like a documentary setup reality show. So like in essence, 12 people stranded on islands that are very close to each other, and I guess they're going to try to see what happens. Is the on the outset what they're trying to make it look like what's happening.
Yeah, it's have you ever asked yourself like what would you do if you were deserted on an island, and like what are the things you would want? How would you deal with it? Would you want to go at it alone? Would you want to like find other people? What's interesting about this situation is that there are some amount of other people involved in this situation, but you don't really know. I don't believe you know how many, where they are, what things they have, and so I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
So this, like, I'll try to describe what happens in this episode, but not a whole lot. Like,
that's a key point.
They go through, like, I think they only ever really introduce like 4 or 5 people out of the 12.
They show most of their names, but they don't spend time with all of them.
So like Robbie is the big guy in this episode
but
in many ways. I'm just gonna go over like Robbie is highly focused.
Do we need to get into the fact that we need to come up with lost names for everyone on this show before
Yes.
we go through
No,
this?
later.
Later, okay.
Like
Minutia.
Robbie's the biggest focus. They go over his backstory. He's pretty heavy. He's eating a lot.
He said
He's unhappy.
390.
Yeah, and during the course of this episode, he's like he wants his bag because there's food. Like there's a lot of food there, and he finds a bag, reads their journal, and eventually finds this other woman, which I don't even know if they said her name in the original.
I want to say it was
beginning.
like Kenzie or something.
Yeah,
Kenzie, I think, is right.
I think I
Something like
missed that name.
But
I didn't write it
But
down.
like I think what's important to highlight
Kenzie,
here is the
Kenzi.
Got it. Thank you, Rob. I was gonna say like I think one of the things that's important to highlight the style of the show is it's sort of they pick a person and they kind of focus on them, very lost, and then they kind of dive into their backstory, and so it's like again Lost flashback style of like here's what this person was doing in the regular world, right? Yeah. And so they'll kind of do a bit on like their backstory, and then they'll come back.
They'll
and
show them in their real life,
right? And so like I think it's important, and like it seems like how the formula of these shows are going to go is that they're going to pick like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people an episode and kind of focus on them, and then show the inner workings and like what's kind of going on.
Yeah. So this episode was Robbie and Mackenzie, and they showed a little bit of Terry.
Yeah, was that the black guy that was in the military?
Richard is
Eric.
Eric is the black gentleman.
Right.
Richard was the camo hat hunter dude.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Terry was the old woman that they showed briefly.
Right.
Those are the kind of intros we get. We kind of get of anyone that does anything of note is just Richard and Mackenzie. Robbie and Mackenzie, man.
Yeah, that was definitely the heavy
12
focus
names.
of this one.
And that's kind of it. It's all these people ended up on. They show a lot of intros of people.
There's also someone named Sawyer on the show.
You're gonna believe there's somebody named Sawyer.
We'll get there. I think that's. I mean, that's pretty much anything that happens in the show. Well, the biggest thing is that Mackenzie tells Robbie that she's gonna go walk along the beach and try to find stuff. And at the end of the episode, they try to make it seem like questionable if Mackenzie's going to come back or not.
So I think we should highlight that they start this thing off that it's these 12 individuals and they all start out alone. And they're like scattered across various islands in this region. And like they don't know if they're going to find other people or whatnot. And so like the whole first day or two is like Robbie and others and like pretty much everyone just kind of walking around, trying to see what's going on, gather supplies. There's some bags that like some of which belong to people. There's other supplies that just seem to be scattered.
Everyone finds a washed up suitcase that is not their suitcase.
Right.
And, I wonder how much like producers were like dropping the suitcases off like 10 feet from where they were them to show
definitely.
up.
They were dropped off like right where they were.
Right.
I wonder how much the producers were like, feel like, okay, we're going to give Robbie's suitcase to Kenzie. I think that's a good move. And then,
Well, producers definitely put Mackenzie and Robbie near each other.
They were close enough to each other that Robbie could see kind of where she was at from where he was.
Well, the thing is, Robbie did move a lot, though.
Yeah.
So you don't know. I don't know if that was actually what happened.
That's true.
Like, you look at it holistically, but then you remember. So another big plot point that happened was Robbie like saw like some blue fucking
like a
tarp somewhere, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna swim to that." So he like found some sort of flotation device and started swimming. And obviously, he couldn't swim very fast, so the current just took him somewhere.
Got caught in the riptides.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The current just, took him.
I feel like you're kind of throwing Robbie under the bus. I feel like he gave it a hell of an effort on that swim. Like, we're talking like he was swimming between islands. Like, pretty good swim. And he was trying to bring this bag with him. He's a big dude. And, like, I thought he was doing pretty good for the situation. Like, I'm going to give him some credit.
I don't know. It's like I'm not seeing a lot of what happened.
The editing made it. You can't tell from the editing exactly what happened. That's the thing. Like, I think the editing tried to make it look good, but maybe they were playing some games with us.
It might have. I mean,
I don't think he made it very far, to be honest.
You don't think?
No.
I mean, I have no idea. It seemed like he gave it a good effort, and he kind of got washed and got carried in some kind of tide or whatever.
Yeah.
Which ended up being good because it kind of sucked him right to like some shelter or something that was there, like an old shelter.
So now we're into minutia. Like,
oh, we're definitely in it. It just happened.
So one thing about the show, there's no host of the show. They had a brief sort of narration voiceover to kind of kick you off the minimal amount, and then just starts with people walking out of water up onto beach. They don't show like I was hoping there was going to be a scene of just them getting thrown off a boat into the water, or like they were going to make it seem like they got dropped out of a plane. It's like no, they're just walking up in the water, and like nothing really explains what's going on except for their own kind of narration, and then they start sort of having them describe what's going on.
There's definitely a couple narration points in the episode, but primarily in the beginning. And it is kind of weird to like, yeah, we just put these guys in the middle of these islands, but don't show how they got there. Like, at least they could, I mean, they obviously were just kicked out of a boat at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if each one had their own boat or if like they were all on the same boat.
If we believe that they don't know how many people there are, I think like they haven't met each other before, so I think they all had to be in their own boat.
Okay. Were they all dropped at the same time? Like,
yeah, that we don't know
it's
how
a great
the
question.
timing on stuff.
Like the production of this show is nuts.
Visually stunning.
It actually does look pretty good. Like I don't think it looks like for a reality show top tier looks wise.
Oh yeah.
For a regular show, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Breaking Bad like stylistic. So, I
there-
mean, it's just like
There's definitely a bit of like there's a lot of like scenery shots and like close-ups of insects doing stuff. I think that's partly like it's partly for like the visual aspect, but it probably feels like it's like some filler of like we don't have that much there's not that much going on. We got to show you something. Let's show you some nice scenery.
yeah. Well, it's just like these 12 people just like hanging around all day.
Yeah.
Like at some point trying to find some food.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so there's everything of like when they wash up on shore, there's these pre-made shelters. Like there's like I think there's probably 12 that are all sort of near where they come up on shore. And so you find something that's like it's not a full shelter, but it's a starting point thing, and you can kind of build on that. And so you can sort of build something to sort of work for yourself, or you can be like Robbie and be like I'm going to venture off and try to find someone else.
There's this thing, okay, which I call the Bachelor effect.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Which is like the underlying theme the production is trying to push for this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, for this show is all about not being alone.
Yes.
Like there's all the people in this episode, and I assume this is going to go through the whole show, is just like, how can they survive alone? How can they do it? Will they find other people? Will they survive alone? And you're like, we get it, dudes. Like, we understand.
Oh man. So I think one of the other things, like off of that remind me a lot of another show that we watched many moons ago on this pod, was they sort of teed this up as a social experiment.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And what would people do? Will they form, some sort of community? Will they go at it alone? And I'm like, oh man, I'm just getting those Utopia vibes. Like, what are they gonna do here?
Utopia was the production of Utopia was not good.
Oh no.
The production on the show seems pretty good, but I don't know.
Yeah. I got a lot of Utopia vibes though.
I'm getting a lot of Bachelor vibes.
You're
though,
getting
with
Bachelor,
with
interesting.
the alone thing. I'm just like, and the fact that like so like what they show Robbie and Mackenzie like kind of saying, I don't know how to do this alone. I need people.
Yeah.
And then they meet, and they're like, oh, I'm so glad we met.
Oh,
and I mean, I guess I was gonna ask this later. We could ask it now. Do you think Mackenzie's coming back or not?
Well, so we tee up that she went off?
I said that.
Yeah, you teed it up.
So, I said this during the show. I don't think she's coming back.
She's definitely coming back.
She's definitely coming back.
I don't know.
I would love
man.
for her not to come back.
I know.
But I think she's coming back.
Yeah, you think this is sort of
This
like they're
is
just
the
kind of
thing.
teeing up as some drama, but like it'll be nothing.
The fact that they put it at the end of the
Yeah.
episode, I think, is a clear sign
Definitely.
that
It's
she's
just
coming
a-
back.
When
Just
I
to produce
when I
cliffhanger.
knew it was when the episode ended, I'm like, oh, well, she's coming back.
Yeah.
Immediately. When they teed it up, I'm like, oh, this would be amazing if she didn't come back.
But it is kind of an interesting thing to kind of get on about, like, is, Robbie is a big guy, would obviously, in a normal situation be, eat a lot of food. Like the, having a second person to help you versus that's a second person to kind of try to, get things for and stuff like that. It is an interesting kind of thing to think about, like, and weighing, and like Kenzie's definitely thinking about it and Robbie's thinking about it, but she's definitely coming back.
Like if Mackenzie, I think has, she might be right to leave instead of staying with him.
But like they've got I think it only makes sense to leave if she can improve her shelter situation, and right. I don't think she can.
Well, the shelter situation they're in right now is not optimal either.
It's not optimal, but like they got a starting point, and I feel like it can only get better if they're working together.
And it's better than her original shelter.
Oh yeah,
which was like covered in ants and like had no roof or anything.
I think that was just a tree. I don't think she actually had like a starter shelter like this, like then they were in
like
later.
This one, yeah.
But to get back to the alone thing, like I feel like based on this season on, I think almost everybody meets up with people, and so I don't think it sort of goes through the whole season. I think it probably becomes less of a focus as they're like in these smaller groups.
Well, it seems weird because like early in the episode, they were all like, Mackenzie's trying to find somebody. Like everything they're talking about is like she doesn't want to do it alone. But then at the end of the episode, they show her backstory, which is kind of like, oh, I'm always kind of a loner. I don't really do well on pairs. She doesn't like relationships. So like they try to tee it up like she's gonna leave. And so that's why she's not gonna leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But you never know. Like if I'm in that situation, I probably would, like, if I prepared for it, I might rather be alone than with people. Yeah. But some of the people they talked said that. Terry, the old woman, said that she wanted to be alone.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see like what some of these other people's outlooks and what they think is going to happen.
Oh yeah, I bet that the casting of this is such that there are people in all of the spectrums, right? There are some that are extreme like loners. There are some extreme like social people that need that social. I bet you like, and they already kind of teed up like some have better backgrounds and are sort of trained for this. Some live off the land and off the grid in certain situations. And then others are like, very normal, very traditional like kind of lives, like all kinds of stuff. But like Robbie, to be fair, like he knew how to fish and like he was doing some stuff. He was getting like things to make a shelter. Like he didn't seem that unprepared. Like I will give you that. Like yes, he definitely is addicted to food, self-admittedly, and clearly has a thing there that he knows he's gonna go over. But like I guarantee you, like you fast forward to the end of the season, and it's like Robbie has overcome this food addiction thing, and like this time in the island has like changed his life. Hopefully.
I mean, or he quits next episode.
Like I don't know. Like that guy's definitely in a health situation. Like he's at risk of.
Do we gotta talk about Robbie's?
We gotta talk about this. I was as you were talking about it, I'm like, we gotta talk about this.
Definitely do.
So like Robbie, they have this one scene where he's just
back in his home life,
where it's like dark out and he's just making food. Pulls that food out of the fridge, and he's like microwaving stuff. And he's like got some pancakes and some other stuff. Like a feast.
He was snacking while the food was warming up in the microwave.
Yeah,
which I thought was really like he was eating some ice cream while he was heating something up in the microwave.
I think he was kind of like a pizza or something. Like
I don't know whatever it was. He was eating like a feast. They showed a clock, 12:45 a.m.
It's unreal.
Like that is exactly how you get 390 pounds. Is eating like huge meals at like midnight,
in the middle of the night. Yeah,
it was a really interesting like from a psychology perspective though. It was really interesting to like hear that because you can clearly see how this is a disorder, and like he's like, yeah, like I know what happens is like it's the end of the day. I put like all my daughters to bed. Everybody's sleeping. I'm like ready to wind down for the night, and I like before I go to bed, I gotta like make this whole meal, and I just eat and I just keep eating, and I'm just gonna keep eating. And then he's like, I wake up in the morning and I feel guilty about it, and then I just repeat the whole day over again.
Yeah,
and like you could very clearly see that like he knows he has a problem here.
Yeah,
but he can't stop it. I don't know. It was really interesting.
I don't know. It's a problem.
Like, yeah, he was making a little snack. I was like, oh, they're gonna show him like eating, and when they actually showed all the food he had, it was like I can't believe it. This is insane.
Do you think that was set up?
Like maybe they're like make it do a little extra for this one just for the cameras and stuff, which maybe was a good segue into the lost flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like
it's so weird.
I think it's pretty interesting that all these people that got stranded on this thing, like there were definitely cameras with them for a bunch of time in their like quote unquote normal life before they like started the actual show.
The Robbie ones seem realistic. Like, hey, they were there for like a week. They interviewed the daughter and like got him like eaten at midnight or whatever. But like Mackenzie though, there's like a scene of Mackenzie and her ex-boyfriend breaking up.
Well, he wasn't her ex-boyfriend at the start of the scene.
Well, we don't know. Like,
no, there was this in one of the other shots, in an earlier shot, they were writing a song or like making some kind of audio track, and it was her, what appeared to be the boyfriend, and then some other guy, and they were like writing lyrics and playing guitar, and she was singing, and like it was like them in a triangle circle, and then then there's this other shot.
Yeah, and I'm just like, did they reproduce that? Like how? Like did she? She said she was going on this show, and there was like an ultimatum, and like. They broke up because of that. Like, it's so crazy that like to get that filmed shot.
Yeah,
I don't think that was the actual breakup. Like, I feel like they broke up at some point, and they're like, okay, well, we've got to get some footage of something. So can you just come and like talk about it, get some coffee, and then like just talk?
Was that actually her ex-boyfriend, or was that an actor doing a reenactment?
Oh, damn it! No.
I mean, she looked like she was legit upset.
Hey,
so is she an actor?
Become a social media influencer, you gotta have those acting chops.
Oh, you think she's definitely a future social media influencer?
Oh, she's going for it.
Damn it!
She's got the perfect teeth. She's attractive. Definitely future social media influencer.
For sure.
Robbie, I don't know.
Robbie, I don't think is going for social media influencer. I think he's trying to improve his life.
If Robbie loses like 200 pounds, he's definitely going to be some kind of social media, like the next Subway guy.
That's true. He could be.
I'm just saying.
I went on this show. I lost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
You can too.
Yeah. No, you're right. Robbie is going. They're all going for social media influencer. What was I thinking? Did anyone think? At one point, I definitely thought I heard the lost flashback noise during the show, but it was just like, it's so like already in. It's a Pavlovian response. It's like in my mind, I heard it, even though it wasn't in the show.
I just played it on my phone.
Yeah, like, did you?
No.
Like, but that's the thing. Like, you could have said that, like, that sounds in there. I would 100% believe you, because like I think like my mind just inserts that sound.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
They do like a cut, and you're like, boom, right?
And they're doing the things with like the audio is trying to trail into the next one and stuff, and so it's just and then like the I think they do something with the camera, so like the color tone is slightly different in the flashback.
The color tone is definitely different.
So yeah, so like it's. And then I feel like the sound is there.
I like if you were to say that I think the sound's there, I'd be like, oh yeah, 100%. Oh my god, this thing is definitely heavily.
They're definitely trying to
So
get the lost influence for sure.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a smoke monster on this show?
Man, I hope so.
That'd be great. Season finale, Smoke Monster shows up.
They were kind of alluding to it with that one guy, the crab hunting guy, who's some kind of fisherman, I think.
His name was Richard.
Yes, Richard. So they kind of cut to him. He's like walking through the jungle. He seems pretty resourceful, like out the get go.
He already set up traps and stuff. Like day 2, like day one. He was setting up traps.
One. Yeah,
Like,
he's setting snares up.
He grew up on a salmon hatchery.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. But can I get to? I'm gonna go back. I still have some
sorry.
other minutia.
We
for
moved on.
Robbie
We moved
here.
on.
I just wanted to finish the smoke thing because I thought it was going to be
right.
smoke out of those holes.
We'll come back to how much lost they're going to be in the show.
Okay. Wait, let's move on.
I got some Robbie minutia I still need to go over. Like, so everyone has this bag, right?
Oh yeah.
And Robbie's like, "Oh, I want my bag. Because there's food in there." Obviously, that's why Robbie wants it. And Mackenzie finds the bag.
Yeah.
James, can you describe this bag?
The Robbie's bag?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So to be clear, I think you might have missed something here, which is it was a suitcase originally.
Oh, was it?
She unpacked the suitcase.
Where did she find the other bag?
I think that bag was either near that shelter, her first starting point,
Okay.
or
I thought it was his bag.
No, I thought it was in the suitcase.
Yeah.
Sorry, we missed.
Yeah, I knew that you were getting.
I missed the minutia on that.
There was a clear shot of Kenzie unpacking like this suitcase, and she's like, "Oh, hey, like in the suitcase, I found this like journal, and I found like a bunch of snacks. This is great. I've got all this stuff. I'm gonna pack up a bag and carry it and head into the jungle and see if I can find somebody." Which is weird that she's like, "I want to find somebody." And then later they kind of teed up like I kind of want like
we talked about that.
We did. No. I agree. I'm just like,
well, she's like carrying this weird like it's pretty much like a beach bag on her shoulder.
It is a beach bag.
It's like very impractical.
Yeah.
Like there's no weight distribution. There's just like
I was really surprised there wasn't a shot of her pulling like a giant shirt out of the suitcase and holding it up in front of her, because then we had that with a guy who found someone else's, I don't know if it was her bag or a different woman's bag, and he's holding dresses up in front of him, and he does it like 4 times.
Everyone's like, "Oh, how does this one look?"
Yeah. I was sure they were going to do that with Kenzie, and then it didn't. So.
That really didn't happen.
When Mackenzie left, she had the like legit bag, the like backpack bag.
Yeah.
So,
which, if there were clothes in that bag in Robbie's suitcase, which I would assume because it's a suitcase, like it would probably have some clothes. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like, you got some really big shirts and clothing. Like, you could use that stuff for things.
yeah, I mean, you could definitely use that as some sort of makeshift blanket, maybe.
Yeah,
when you're
like she was saying, she was freezing the one night, and it's like you get some of those extra clothes out, like make a blanket.
I mean, on weird bags, like all of these like airport bags, there's somebody walking around in the water, trailing behind him this airport bag, and it looks hilarious.
Angel. Or Angel. I don't know how he pronounces it.
Yeah, he was not in this episode other than that one shot.
Yeah, I don't know why he was Why was he just walking in the water dragging that suitcase
I don't know.
behind
It's
him?
so weird. I was like, is that bag waterproof? Like,
Definitely
what the,
not.
like, what, like, you just get everything in there soaking wet.
Oh yeah, everything's wet all the time in this show. That guy had a crazy backstory.
He was in the episode because we heard a little bit of his backstory, and there's like. So he is from Honduras. His mom and him are in California, but his dad and his brother are still in Honduras. And there's this crazy thing which like his mom's like, "Man, your brother's shoes got stolen." And he's like, "What? How did the shoes get stolen?" She's like, "Yeah, when he got shot." It's like, I think you lead with that. You don't wait with their shoes got stolen.
That's definitely weird producer thing.
Yeah. No, the way it was just set up was just so bizarre. It's like, oh, damn, his shoes got stolen. Wait, what?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
It was also subtitled, right? Because they were speaking.
They're speaking Spanish.
Spanish, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We don't even know if he can speak English because someone found his journal and it was all in Spanish.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think now.
That would be, I think, a wrinkle the producers would definitely do.
That'd be kind of great. Like, you got this one.
You know what it's
Honduras.
like? It's like that show Lost.
Oh, damn it. It's also like the Bachelor Winter Olympics.
It is like the Bachelor Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
that didn't work out well for them in that scenario.
No,
there's like, I don't know, you don't speak English. We're just.
I don't know. Yuki made it farther than some people.
Okay.
And then Chris Harrison made her quit.
God damn it. Chris Harrison.
Yeah. I guess, how much do you think Robbie's going to weigh when he leaves the show?
Well, part of this is how long is Robbie sticking around? Or is he quitting?
Definitely. He weighs 390 right now.
Well, it's day 3. He's probably down to like 387.
I don't know. He's probably not eating a lot of this thing. He's going to lose weight fast.
I don't think he's eating a lot yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, if you just aren't eating, like, I don't know how much you're going to lose.
Like, if you even
before he's not able to function.
Okay, so you watch, if you have seen a season of Survivor, like what they look like at the beginning of the show, like just normal. The end of the show, they look like pretty gaunt. So like,
yeah,
you're losing weight regardless.
It's really like when they do Survivor and you see them at the end and they cut to the reunion and they just like they look super different because they're back to looking normal, and just like the cut from one to the other is just super jarring.
Yeah, that can't be
like if he lasts a decent amount of time. I think he's definitely like sub 300, right?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. It depends on how long this show is. Like, how long do you think this show actually is going to be?
I feel like it. Oh, I don't know.
It's a social experiment. It could go forever.
This is what we get into with how long these things actually are. Like, I feel like the show should go on for months, but I bet it didn't.
I bet you it's like a 3-week, 4-week production.
Yeah, I bet a solid month, like 30 days. Because like that Naked and Afraid thing is like 30 days, and like people like get real beat up by the end of those things. Like they're losing all kind of weight. Like they are down to like bones most of the time by the end of that thing.
But they're also naked. These people aren't naked.
That's true.
Well, would the show be better? They can also make.
It's got to come up. This is the time.
Oh, I wrote it down. They can also make clothes on Naked and Afraid. It's just thrown out there.
Yeah, out of like sticks and trees and leaves.
The episode we saw, I don't think they were wearing clothes.
Well, moving on.
So
let's assume. All right, I'm gonna assume Robbie makes it 30 days. I think he weighs 250 at the end of the show.
250.
I think that's a pretty reasonable guess. Like I don't really know like how much weight you can lose and I just don't know.
I'm gonna guess 290. A nice round 100.
Drop a hundy. Yeah. I feel like sub 300 certainly.
James, I need a bet.
Oh man, we're taking I'm on paper on this.
I'm writing it down.
I'm gonna split it and say 275.
All right. You're not taking the I bet he quits next episode 380.
I mean, the smart bet would probably be, but I feel like
he definitely doesn't seem like he's gonna quit.
Yeah, he does. Like his personality seems pretty good, and like his spirit seemed pretty good.
I think if Mackenzie doesn't come back in a week, he'll quit. If he doesn't find anyone in a week, he'll quit.
He definitely needs to be with people.
Yeah,
like I would think that I can totally see where, at some point in the show, there's probably maybe 2 or 3 main groups, unless they all find each other, which I doubt. I think there's gonna be a couple of outliers, like lone wolf types, that are gonna stay on their own. But I think it'll probably come down to either one big group and then maybe one smaller group is probably my prediction. And I think he'll be in the big group because he seems like he's that social glue. Like he's gonna want to be up in there. And there's gonna be some drama about the food and the rationing. He needs more rations than others and all this probably stuff. But that's my prediction.
I mean, on this point of Robbie right now, I think part of his problem is not being able to be alone. So I think it's better for him if he's alone for a bit. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
Maybe. I feel like I don't know if he needs to be alone.
Even his daughter said he has terrible mental health.
Yeah, but that's tied to if he can I think being with other people might help him with dealing with the sort of withdrawal, for lack of a better word, from his addiction, and I think he'll be able to cope better.
Well, I think that he eats for various reasons, not just that he's addicted to it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And assuming the way he's acting, it seems like he doesn't want to be alone, which means he doesn't, he can't be.
So he and Mackenzie went to fish, and Mackenzie caught a little fish, and they went back. Then Robbie went back to fish more, and I definitely thought they were going to show the shot of him eating the fish behind her back.
Definitely.
That was a pretty small fish.
I know. It would have just been it would have just changed the whole arc of just oh my God, Robbie is this is a serious problem. He's already going behind the back of this person he just met on this deserted island.
I was really hoping there'd just be a shot of him with the fish half hanging out his mouth. It's oh, we were saving that.
Because there's a point where Kenzie says, I'm only gonna eat when I have to, and then they show a shot of Robbie be yeah.
Oops, I hate that. That fish is hanging out my mouth right now. That'd be great.
He never caught a fish, so knowing how to fish, I don't know.
I guess that's true. He seemed like he knew how to fish. He had gone fishing before.
They showed him fishing with his son and his son catching a fish.
Right.
But they didn't show him catching a fish.
It's true.
I guess another minor minutia is Robbie shows up on the beach, and I feel like it's the first 5 minutes of the show. We find out that he finds a bag and there's a journal in it, and he read the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the day one, first hour, he's just sitting there reading this guy's journal.
Well, it seems like everybody was told you had to put a journal in your bag, and most people read the journal. Although Kenzie didn't read Robbie's journal.
I don't know.
One guy burnt someone's journal.
Oh, yeah. Because he was trying to make a fire.
He's trying to make a fire on his shelter.
Was that Sawyer?
No.
I don't think that was Sawyer. That might have been Richard, the crab
No.
guy.
No. This is
the dude that was trying to make the other big minutia. Is the dude was trying to make a fire on this wooden like fishing outpost in the middle of the water using someone's journal.
It was the only thing that was dry. He said he felt bad about it though.
At least he felt bad about it.
I think he read the pages and then burned them.
Think so?
Yeah, he's like, oh, like I gotta get this person's story before I burn their journal.
On the producer's theme of not alone, these journals definitely make it harder to be alone when you just got intimately familiar with somebody else's life.
Yeah, that's true.
They must have made everyone write a journal for this, right?
They must have. The fact that every bag has a journal,
Right.
like they had to have been told to write it.
Like odds in this day and age, like, I can't imagine 12 of 12 people
And
are
I
like
think
writing journals.
I think they made them write a journal, and I think they made them read a voiceover for their journal because it cut from someone reading a journal aloud to a voiceover of the person narrating the
These
journal.
are also handwritten journals. So like 12 out of 12 people written journals,
Yeah.
handwritten journals. You scour in lots of places for that.
Do
Yeah.
people write typed journals?
Why
that a
would
thing?
you? Obviously, people would type them.
That's
So you say
called
obviously.
Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, there's like blogging and like all this other bullshit.
I think that's what a type.
Is that what it
journal
is like
Yeah.
nowadays? Like,
I
but
feel
that's
like
not a private
people
journal.
would type journals because they can type way faster than they can write.
No, like I'm legitimately asking. Like, I am personally not a journal writer, but I would like to imagine that like part of the appeal of the journal is like you kind of disconnect, you kind of like sit there and you're like writing your thoughts down, and it feels to me like I would assume that you wouldn't want to necessarily be like on a laptop and keyboard and like have all these distractions getting in the way of you like expressing your thoughts. But I don't
That's
know.
a
I'm not
good point. My counterpoint is just I'm sure some people are, and there's too many there's people who are just like they have their phone and they'll like have this thing where they like make notes themselves about their thing and that's their journal.
Interesting.
I'm sure some people do that, but
Okay.
your way sounds like it's a more effective journal technique. As someone else,
Yours
who also
sounds
doesn't
more
journal.
like a mental health, like kind of like
a therapeutic kind of
therapeutic way to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the optimal, maybe, but not necessarily like the only way to do it.
right.
I mean, when I've dabbled with it in the past, I would just type them because
Oh, okay.
I can type way faster than, and like I feel way more comfortable typing than writing.
Interesting. So it was just like the form that you were used to, I guess. Yeah.
I'm just used to typing.
And then I guess you kind of look at like, the age we're in now where everyone just writes every single thought or every single like time they pass gas and just like, all right, got to post that on the Insta.
I was really hoping they were going to cut back to that guy who was trying to create the fire, and his whole shelter was just ablaze.
Well, they show him cutting the journal and then like trying to make a fire but failing.
Yeah.
Did they actually ever show him succeeding?
No, which
Definitely
is
not.
why I was waiting for it to cut back to the thing just on fire.
That would have
But
been
maybe he just
amazing.
never made a fire. Which is
I don't think
probably
he ever
more
made
likely.
one.
Yeah.
So like these journals that come up, they have this weird, some sort of font they're using. I like it.
Yeah, they put it on the screen.
They put it on the screen
with like a little
You like
caption.
this?
I like the
Oh,
font.
no. I hated that.
Well, I mean, I could see why you'd hate it, but I liked it. I don't know.
To be clear, I didn't hate so much the times that they would write out on the screen the journal parts, but it would be when somebody says something and while they're saying it, they like write it out on the screen like it's some sort of freaking like quote from like ancient time. Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is so
like a
important. You have to write this down.
Philosophy
Yeah.
quote, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, to be alone is to, whatever. And it's like, oh, we got to write this down. So like it really sinks in. And that was the one thing that I'm like, man, I didn't care for that. So I just
it
kind of
was
started
definitely
ignoring it.
weird when they did that.
Yeah. I just kind of started ignoring it and then it was way
Well,
better.
there's a difference between me liking the font and me liking what they did with the writing.
I'll give you that. It was a good looking font. I'll give you that.
So if we want, do we have any other minutia for these people?
Do we got to get into the lost names thing?
All right, before we get into that,
Okay.
the production of the show
Yes.
with the cameramen. Do you think the cameramen are like getting producer lines and like asking the people questions, or just like they're mute and they're like not supposed to interact with these people at all?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, and is it the same cameraman like 24/7? Are there people like coming in and out?
There's
like,
got to be people coming in and out.
so like They just coming in motorboats. Like, how are they like coming in and out? Like, there's a lot of like production of this show that's like you gotta not really shown at all.
I think people maybe the boats like they're like the cameraman walks off kind of into the jungle, so it's not like right in front of the people. But like they must be coming in and out on boats, and there must be different cameramen because it's too much time for one cameraman to be doing that. And I think they might even have multiple cameramen working at the same time to like get different shots and stuff.
They'd have to.
But so is there a producer with them behind the camera?
I wonder because they're not definitely like they're not doing like testimonials.
There definitely seems like there's testimonial like content though.
Exactly. They're not framing it like that, but like they're doing these voiceover thoughts of what's going on and like inner monologues, and there must be talking to the camera to do that at some point, and then it must. I assume that is coming out of being prompted somehow. So I guess they're talking to them. So they're not that alone.
Yeah. So how does it like if you're cameraman for Survivor, you're just mute the whole time, right? Like you're not actually talking to them.
Probably
would that. Whereas like this show's a little different because like they're not like they're all alone and they're all trying to like get content out of people.
But the cameraman could talk to you in Survivor and be like, "Oh, can you turn that so I can see that better?" And
you think so? I don't know. I don't really know how this production details work.
We got to get you on a reality show. We got to get you. Got to be our insider.
Oh yeah,
I agree. But
I gotta sign NDAs. I won't be able to talk about it.
Damn it! You can tell us at least on the back channel though.
You're enough of a reality podcast celebrity that they'll like be like, I gotta have an out the NDA. That I'm going to discuss it for marketing purposes on this podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%. Definitely going to let me do that.
The thing is, these questions that you're asking really kind of like makes you think or question, is this show actually happening or is it all staged? And it's really easy to kind of like get caught up in the like, oh wow, like production's great. The show's kind of interesting. It's got a lot of these lost elements, which I all like. But then like when you ask these kind of things, it's like, it brings me back to these like other shows like Siberia and whatnot, where like, in the end, was it all just like faked all to hell, right? Like, and it's all just set up. Like, I don't know. I'm not there yet. But when I think that we ask these types of questions, it starts to like, yeah, I don't know. Like, how many cameramen are there? How are they doing this thing? And they definitely show these shots where there's nobody else around, but yet how are they getting those shots? There's no handheld camcorders or anything like that. There's also not like, it didn't even seem like these guys had mics on them. And like a lot of these kind of shows, they'll have like the mic necklaces or something.
Yeah.
And like,
true, they don't even have those.
Yeah. So like now I'm like, fuck. Now
they
I'm
have like a whole crew there. They gotta have the boom.
There must
mics.
be a boom and everything. Yeah.
Maybe there's mics in those shelters. That's why they gotta get them to go to those shelters.
There might be, but you know what I mean. Like when you start to peel it back, I'm like, well, shit. Now I don't know, and it starts to feel like maybe it's not as
that's interesting
reality as it maybe puts out that it is.
I think that they're legit there.
You think?
But I think that they're like how alone they are and how much producer influence that you don't. I think there's way more producer influence than they're trying to make it seem. Like it's not like The Challenge or like any other Survivor. It's not like Big Brother. It's not like all these shows where like the producers like hounding them in those interview booths or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's like two cameramen and a producer with all these people.
Like my thing about why I don't think like it's obviously somewhat produced, but like why I don't think it's like totally staged is I think more would happen. Like I feel like not enough happened for it to be like, oh, people are like pulling the strings on it this way. Like it feels too like I think like that's something about the show is it's like I'm not sure enough is happening to sustain my interest in this show.
Yeah. So on that, like, so we saw like around like 3 or 4 people's backstory in this episode.
Yeah.
Like intro backstories. How many episodes is this season?
I'm going to say 10.
You think it's 10?
I think it's 10.
I think 12 would be a nice round number if they're going to do like 4.
What I'm curious about is like how much time did they spend filming backstories before they did this?
And how much time did they film backstories after?
After they did this.
It had to be like a week up person,
There's
right?
definitely afterwards for sure.
Yeah, was Kenzie's breakup pre or post going on this trip?
I don't know. I mean, it depends if they're like can ABC are they trying to turn this into another Bachelorette empire? Or is this just kind of like a cheap thing that they're making? It doesn't look very cheap.
It doesn't look cheap.
Like, I don't know how you get these islands just like empty where like no one ever shows up. Like that's gotta be.
I don't think this is a cheap show. This looks like they spend a little money on this show.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of weird they're kind of dumping it in summer then. Like if
maybe they know it's bad.
Maybe they know it's bad.
I mean, sometimes you make some things and they're not good.
That's true.
We'll get to it. I don't think the show's bad. It's just, I do think that I don't think it can sustain for the money they spent on it.
Right. That makes sense.
I think money to, how good it is the equation's not there. The equation's not good for them.
Man, I mean, this is definitely where like I feel like Harrison would bring some good numbers to play here, or have a good feel for it. But like, is the show really that expensive? Like, I agree that it looks visually good, but we do know that like a lot of this equipment has gotten a lot more affordable. You can get these kinds of shots with like on a reasonable budget. We don't know how many producers. There's no host. You have 12 unknown people. And so, like, yes, you had to cast them. Well, I mean, and you're in Indonesia, which, like, I assume that, like, these islands are just sitting there. Like, there's a lot of them.
I don't know. When we talk about reality show, like, looking good, usually that means that they didn't get bottom of the barrel cameramen. Right. So they're, like, spending a lot of money on that. Imagine there's 12 people here. There's at least 12 cameramen that, like, actually are getting good shots.
Unless it's staged.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Whatever.
But either way,
and then you've got 12 people's backstories that you're gonna go film. You're talking way more money than just like a regular reality show. Like you Big Brother, get that house.
Right.
You got like 4 cameramen, good to go. Here you're multiplying that by a lot. So like in terms of reality show budgets, this is not cheap.
Yeah, I mean you're right. I mean you are on location, like you gotta like feed and house these cameramen, all that kind of stuff. I guess piling on top of that too, like the editing is done pretty well. So like it definitely wasn't just thrown together.
That cost money.
Right.
So much footage that they've got to edit down. Like it's definitely not cheap. But
yeah,
it's not. I don't think it's staged.
It doesn't seem like it, but it's, we never really know.
You never. Really
yeah, I don't know. So I guess we're kind of landing out of that. Like it feels like it's more expensive than most. But I don't know that it's, let's say, like a crazy expensive show to make.
No.
It's not like Lost level of budget on this show, for sure.
Right.
It's not like Bachelor like expense.
Yeah.
What about BIP?
Could be. BIP's probably cheaper.
BIP's definitely cheaper than regular Bachelor.
No, I just meant cheaper than the show.
Oh, cheaper than the show.
Yeah. What's like Chris Harrison's fees like though?
Yeah, you got to pay that Chris Harrison money.
He's a producer now. So do you get paid more as a producer or less as a producer?
Yeah, no, you get to be a producer because there's other revenue streams you get to be a part of at that point.
All right. I have a question for you, James.
Oh, shit.
How many people are going to bang on this show?
Oh, fuck. I have no idea. Because, like, there's so many things that have to come together for that to happen. I bet there's at least one, though. If this show is like, let's assume for a moment that it's about a month that like these people go, and that there's some sort of group that comes together at some point, which seems like from the next time on, it's more likely than not that there's a group that comes together. There's a good mix of younger people. I could see like maybe one hookup happening.
One hookup. Rob, what do you got for me?
I'm going 0. I think, they're out there. There's no showers. Bathroom situation is probably not great. And I think it's just not a conducive environment.
Oh, it's definitely not conducive.
I'm going to go with James on this one. I think there's going to be a hookup. I don't know if they're going to show the hookup, so we could never know.
We'll never know.
Because I do think the show probably doesn't want to show you people hooking up, but it might happen.
The show's on ABC. This is not an MTV show, Chris.
But ABC has The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
But they're not hooking up on The Bachelor.
And they have Survivor, which also people are hooking up in those shows.
They show that?
They don't show them having... they imply...
But you have enough that like you know that they did.
They imply that they have coitus has happened.
Okay. So, I mean, like we might get the implication then.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. And I guess our quintessential, would this show be better if everyone was naked?
Then is it just Naked and Afraid with flashbacks at that point?
I think so.
I think
What's the prize? What are the stakes for Naked and Afraid? Are there stakes for that show?
I think you win money at the end.
You win money? These people don't win money, or do they?
They didn't say.
They didn't say.
I'm sure they get money per episode they're on.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's how it works.
The other thing with Naked and Afraid is they give you a survival assessment. And so like part of the challenge of it is they assess you before and after you're on the show. And so like I think if you're going on that show, it's A, to prove yourself you can do it, B, to see what kind of score you can get as a survivalist, right? It's kind of like that personal triumph kind of thing.
Yeah, the episode we watched, I don't remember them really talking about that. The people didn't do very well in that episode.
Yeah, if they don't make it, then maybe they don't focus on it as much. Yeah.
Any other minutia anyone gets to on this? I know Rob has a question that I think we probably need to get to.
We can get back to James's smoke monster.
Oh, the smoke monster. So in lieu of the, will there be a smoke monster on this? There was definitely a moment that was Lost-esque where this one dude, Richard, I think we said, doesn't matter, is setting up some snares because he finds these holes in the jungle, in the jungle floor. He's trying to figure out, like, okay, there's clearly something in there. He thinks it's rats or something like that. He's like, I got to figure this out. Maybe it'll be a food source. Maybe it's whatever. I got to figure it out. All these holes everywhere, like pretty good sized holes, like size of your foot, and then goes down for however deep. And so he sets these snares. It catches some stuff, and he basically finds that it's caught, and he's trying to like pull this thing out. And for like a few moments, like, oh man, if it's a smoke monster that comes out of this hole, it's gonna be very exciting. That didn't happen.
In what world is a smoke monster coming out of that hole?
In the world of Lost, Chris. Come on.
That smoke monster was way bigger than that hole.
The smoke monster fits in a hole.
It's smoke. It can change size.
Yeah. So what did come out of the hole?
So he's pulling on this thing for like a while. It turns out it's some sort of crab. And in pulling on it, the crab was putting up a fight. He basically rips the arm off off the crab, and he only gets the claw. And like it's a big size claw.
Oh yeah.
It's bigger than my hand.
You definitely don't want to be putting your fingers down there.
Oh,
You're
no,
losing a
definitely not.
finger.
If your fingers are going down there, they're staying down there.
They're getting chomped off. So no smoke monster, but we do know there are some crabs, which I bet that guy's going to try to catch later and eat.
So what if the show, in getting into more Siberia territory, what if they actually started turning it into Lost?
Man.
They find a hatch, and then they start actually having actors who are like the others on the island, and then like they actually get the guy who plays Desmond to pop up. He's like, "We gotta push the button, brother."
Well, season 2, the
there.
end of season 1, they have to find the hatch.
Yeah.
End of season 2 is when they find the others.
I think you're onto something with his others and everything, though. Like, I think there's.
Like they
I
find
think you're onto
radio
something.
broadcasts and all kinds of stuff, and just like it's just lost, and they just do it again, and then poor Robbie is like, "What's going on in this show?"
When these guys just don't know.
When they have to start bringing time travel, it's probably going to get tougher, but
All right, so Robbie / Hurley, as we're going to get to, Hurley makes it all the way through. So
Hurley does make it all the way through. Good sign for Robbie.
He does get indoctrinated in that cult though,
That's true.
the island cult. So
Robbie
he doesn't
Hurley.
make it out of the island cult.
Is Sawyer?
I don't even fucking know who Sawyer is in this show.
I think we let Sawyer be Sawyer.
He was just in there for a second and off. But yeah, that was it. I did have a question though, which could you make this intro better if they're all on a plane and they have to skydive out of the plane, and it's just like, okay, you get to choose when you go. You got like a 2-minute window. Everyone's gonna go like 15 seconds apart. Who wants to go first? And it's just shooting them out of the plane, and then you have to skydive and like
sort
parachute
of
in.
PUBG Fortnite situation.
Yeah.
Sort of Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I would love to see a reality show take the PUBG Fortnite formula. Just like, all right, guys, we're dropping you on this plane. You gotta find some sort of treasure map. You like find the treasure before anyone else.
Yep. Ooh,
That'd be kind of fun.
I like it.
So, all right, Angel. I don't know who the hell that is.
The Honduras guy.
Yeah, the Honduras guy.
What is he in Lost?
He's Daniel Day Kim. What's his character's name? He's Daniel Day Kim. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
It's been so long since I've watched Lost. I can't. Unless it's like Kate.
There was
or
like Son and was that the husband?
The husband.
It's like Son and Kim or something.
I'm IMDbing right now.
All right. Terry, the older woman.
lady.
Jin. His name was Jin.
Jin. Not Terry's not Jin.
I'm gonna be bad at this game. I don't remember.
There was definitely an old woman, wasn't there?
Was there? Oh, and then she. Yeah, the old woman with her was looking for her husband.
Yeah, whatever her name was.
Yeah, I think that's a good fit. I don't remember what her name is, but yeah, her.
And then there's Eric Brown.
So Eric Brown is former military with like possibly some PTSD things. Does that make him Saeed?
Sure.
Okay.
Then there's Sawyer, which
Sawyer.
Is Sawyer.
Tim Burke,
Who?
Was Tim the guy in the fishing hut?
age 50.
Sure.
I
No.
don't know.
Retired U.S. Army Green Beret.
They didn't show him.
Oh, this is. I don't know. Who is that?
I don't know who the hell that is. All right, we don't know because we didn't see him in the show. Robbie is Hurley.
Yeah.
Rashana.
I don't think we know anything about
briefly showed
Rashana.
Rashana. Like they showed, I was like, they showed a shot of Rashana and like wrote her name out. And I was like, who the what? Just such a weird, definitely weird name.
Yeah.
Matt Jaskell,
I don't think we saw much of him.
a motorsport athlete from the age of 5.
Didn't see him.
Chriselle. I don't remember anyone talking about
No,
Chriselle.
Chriselle's the one from Hawaii
Oh.
who lives off the grid and wants
Is
to
she
get
an
away
o-
from her off the grid family and surfs.
Is she an other?
Maybe. I don't know. Who
Is she Charlie?
is she addicted to drugs?
Her,
That's
is
my.
that Robbie?
That's. I don't think.
Robbie's addicted to something.
John Locke. I want to know who John Locke is.
It could be Locke.
Like she might be the closest, right? Because she's gonna be like, oh, I know how to like take care of these things and like get stuff done.
Oh yeah, Locke's pretty handy. Maybe Locke's the fisherman guy, the crab fisherman, because Locke could catch the boars.
Well,
That's a
that's
good call.
fair.
That's a good call. I like that.
Who's Kate? Is she Kate?
Maybe she's Kate, just because we don't have a good Kate.
Then we got Richard, which is the hunter, which we just said was
we
Locke.
just said was Locke.
Then we have Kenzie.
Kenzie, who's Kenzie?
It's the girl we've been talking about the whole
Mackenzie.
time.
No,
that
wait, but
Chris has been
who-
calling Mackenzie.
Mackenzie.
It
Somebody
says
said it was
Kenzie.
Mackenzie. So
I said it was
like,
Kenzie, but it's fine.
It's Kenzie, but
All right.
I thought Chris was doing a bit.
It's definitely a bit because I don't remember anyone's name.
Is that the main character?
Okay, Kenzie's the one hanging out with Robbie. Oh, we said
I think she's the main character. What's the
She's-
guy's name?
she's Jack.
Yeah.
No, she's Libby, because Libby gets in a relationship with Hurley, right?
Yeah, she's getting in a relationship with Hurley.
Yeah, so she's Libby.
Mm,
And then there's Tracy.
no clue.
Was Tracy the old lady, right?
No, that
Nope.
was Terry.
Oh, it was Terry.
She's a self-described supermom.
Superman. I
They
don't think we-
briefly went over her backstory where she was like, I take care of 4 generations or something.
I'm totally
That's the only
blanking
thing
on
I know
this.
about her. So who knows? Maybe you have to watch more to figure it out.
Definitely seems that way.
All right. Any other minutiae you want to bring up?
I'm trying
Same.
to think. I think Rob's onto something where like there's not that much that really happened.
It is
Like
an intro.
there's a lot of setup.
It's an intro episode, so
Yeah.
like it's tough to like say because they have to go through so much setup in the beginning. That's just like nothing happens.
I do feel like they did. I like that they didn't just kind of go one by one through everybody. They kind of did it in this way where like they teed up the main guy. Shit, I forgot his name. The main
Robbie?
guy.
Hurley.
Robbie, damn it, Hurley. Like they kind of started there, but then like the episode kind of revolved around him, which I kind of liked. It was a more approachable way because I'm like, man, there's a lot of people in the show. But then as you're watching, you're like, okay, I don't need to concern myself with like everything, like all the details. Like we'll get to it. And like I think that was a good way to kind of go about it compared to like The Bachelorette or Bachelor, which on the first night is like, here's 30 people. And you're like, Jesus, who the hell was person number 3? Like I got no idea. And so at least this one, there's like, 4 or 5 or maybe 6 people that you kind of really remember.
Yeah.
And I think as you go in time, like it's a good formula. I think good approach to it.
But it's hard to have a fantasy league when you don't introduce everyone right away.
That's true.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, James. I think that, as we'll get into, that's one of the things that I liked.
Yeah. It just made it very approachable, I thought. I'm trying to think of any other minutia. I don't think there's anything that like really comes to mind. I think some of the things that I'm excited for in the like next time and stuff is like it looks like either people find some sort of boats or build boats or better housing and like just some of the dynamics that are gonna kind of go there. Like they kind of like allude to this, like it kind of goes back to this whole social experiment thing where it's not just about them surviving, it's also about like can they like make something for themselves. Which
I'm gonna say based on the quality of those boats, they definitely found those boats.
yeah.
I don't think they were making those boats.
Do you think that the production of this is like set at 30 days or like they can extend it, or they have like we think it's gonna be 30 days, but we have it booked out for like 2 months?
Do you think that it's happening and like they're waiting to see how the ratings are and they'll keep it going, or it's just like
no, it's in the can.
It's
0% chance.
Okay, so it's not like they're flipping the switch either way. It's like they've got what they've got, and they're gonna show it.
Yeah, the question would be, do they have a plan of how many days they were gonna go, or they're like based on what's happening on the ground, or is it more of a fluid kind of thing? I feel there's got to be some flexibility in it, but you got to have an idea of like within a week of how long you're going to be doing this.
It's very weird. I wonder if something happened that made them like say like, oh, well, it's not going to be 30 days. It's just going to be like.
No, I think that I think if you're teeing it up as these people, we're going to see how long these people can go, and you want to leave that ambiguity,
well,
even if you know how long it's going to be.
Then they should go till everyone quits. It should still be on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, budgets and stuff don't let you kind of do that.
Like, I mean, that's how you tee it up. That's
they
what
probably
I want.
had like they know roughly how long they want to go, but they didn't want to like they wanted these people to not know how long it was going to go. Because like Naked and Afraid, you're like, okay, 30 days, boom, I know I got to make it. It's day 29, I got 1 day to go, right? So you start making decisions based off of like a T minus. And in this world, like these people have no idea.
Yeah, I mean that's fine for them, but for us, it doesn't matter.
I think it's just like they want to get you like kind of like in the world. Like I don't know how long are these people gonna go, right? Who knows?
All right, James.
Shit! Is it time?
It's time. You want to give it to me? You know what it is.
I mean, you asked so nicely.
Give me the rating. I need it.
Here's the rating. Damn it. I'm gonna throw it in the top. I'm a little cross of how, like, where in the top it falls. Because there's a couple of things that I don't like, which is that like making everything that these 12 people say feel like it's uber important and like this incredibly philosophical thing and typing on screen. Like, don't like that. But it's very minor overall and it's livable. And I can't remember the other thing. Doesn't matter. A lot of stuff it does really well. Production's great. Super watchable. I like that I get reminiscence of all these other shows. Like it feels like I'm kind of like, oh, like Lost is like I got some elements of that. I got some of the elements of Utopia. I got some of the elements of Naked and Afraid. Got some Survivor. Like it's all kind of this melting pot of shit coming together, which I kind of like. I'll definitely watch another episode to see kind of where it goes. So I'm gonna throw it in the top. I'm gonna say like a 2, I guess. I'll go with 2. Middle of the top.
Man, I have to laugh. When you bring up Utopia, our audience, no idea what you're talking about.
What do you mean? We got long-time listeners, man.
S1E1.
S1E1.
It lasted
Go back.
for like
it's on
6
Spotify now.
episodes. Like it's one of the shortest run reality shows we've ever done.
But it's a deep cut for who put this on. Like
who put this
like,
on? Go back
to
to
the jury.
tape.
Who the jury lasted 2 episodes. We're always bringing up you.
You the jury, yeah. We're not always bringing that up.
I'm
but like,
always bringing up you the jury.
We bring up Utopia. James brings up Utopia a lot. Like
it was a really interesting
like
show.
Every other episode. There's
Not every other. No way.
Just definitely Utopia reference.
I put it
Drink.
on the poll.
Finish your drink anytime. Take a drink anytime James mentions Utopia.
That should totally be a who put this on drinking.
We should
rule.
go up the Who Put This On drinking game, and that definitely needs to be on the Who Put This On drinking game.
anytime we deep cut to Utopia.
Not we.
No, we,
James.
No one else
come
is
on.
deep cutting to Utopia.
Dude, I can't. Like, when's the last time I brought up Utopia? I really can't believe
Right,
it.
this episode
This
you brought
episode
Do
up?
you think
lot.
you've brought up Utopia in season 3 of Who Put This On?
Probably.
Yeah, so it's not that
At least
long.
once.
Yeah.
This is probably second time.
Yeah. There you go.
It'd be a fun drinking game. I'd encourage. I'm pro this drinking game rule.
All right, Rob. What's your ranking?
I think I'm gonna throw this one in the middle because like there are definitely some things that are kind of interesting, but it's also like it was kind of boring and like not a ton happening. And like James wants to check out another episode. Like I'm kind of not sure I want to watch another episode because I'm like, and like funny thing is like that's actually something in early seasons of Lost that I also found like some episodes like nothing's happening on this show, and but like you made it it reminds you of Lost. Like I kind of even just want to go watch some Lost instead of watching the show. But it's definitely not bad. Like it's definitely got some good things, and like it's once another one. We're on a run of documentary style shows, and like this one, like with the way they do things, I definitely like the setup. There's not as much like reality editing and things like that, so that's pretty cool. So definitely a lot of good things about it too.
I'm once again conflicted between middle and top tier. The last 3 weeks in a row, I've just been like, I've eventually put them in the top tier. And I don't know, man. Like, I agree with Rob on this one, where it's really slow. Nothing really happened.
I think the
but
question
I'm
is,
compelled by the flashbacks. I love the flashback format in almost anything that has it. Like, I watched Once Upon a Time. Like, that show kind of sucked, but I like the flashbacks. Like, it just like adds so much character to a story that I really enjoy. But nothing happened.
I think the key to this show is every episode like this, or is this like laying some groundwork and it's gonna start picking up? I think that's the key of, is this gonna be a good show?
I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the top again.
Bottom of the top.
A lot of things in the bottom of the top right now. But I could definitely put, like, this is another show where I'd put it on the side and kind of watch and kind of not watch.
I can give you that. Like, this isn't a show that you need to pay super close, like, attentive detail to. Like,
No.
you can definitely come in and out. Like, you can certainly enjoy it if you watch it in its entirety. But you can definitely step out for like 5-10 minutes, come back, and like you're like, oh, okay, like what happened? Oh, they're just going to do this one thing. Okay.
You're just like listening to it, like you gather what happened. Like there's not like nothing like super intense happening.
I mean,
if this episode is to like, bear what the rest of the season's going to be about, which it seems so. But I also kind of like, I haven't seen Lost in a long time. I kind of want to watch Lost. Is Lost available to stream anywhere? Is that on Hulu?
I think it is. I haven't checked in a while. It used to be on Netflix, but I think it left Netflix.
There you go. If anything, but I don't know.
There you go, crew.
Could you do without all the insect shots?
It didn't bother me.
Didn't bother you?
No.
I feel like it was like kind of like just filling the gap. Like it felt like it could have been stock footage. It could have been their footage. I don't know. It's just like you kind of end up in these situations.
I think it
sometimes.
added to the ambiance of the episode. So I'm not like, oh, it was terrible or oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It's just like it was there.
Yeah, it's kind of a probe question. I'm just curious.
According to the Just Watch app, Lost is on Hulu.
All right.
So there you go.
Big time.
So are you caught up on the challenge, James?
I am not. I have some homework. I need to watch last week's and this week's Floribama Shore.
I'm so
and
far
this
behind
week
on that.
of the challenge. I've been off. This weird thing happened with Comcast DVR where it says that somebody has checked out the DVR episode on a mobile device, and you have to go to the mobile device and check it back in. But I can't imagine how that happened or who did it. So now I have to go watch it from like another streaming source with a bunch of commercials.
You can watch it
It's the worst.
on demand, I think.
Yeah, with
On
a
demand
bunch
is
of
commercials.
Yeah.
with a bunch of commercials. Also, you can't fast forward, and so I was already 10 minutes in, but now I have to rewatch the same.
You can
10
usually
minutes.
you could still fast forward. It's just going to show you the commercials.
It won't let me fast forward.
Oh, maybe on your app. Like on the web, you can fast forward, but it'll show you all the commercials.
On demand, if you're doing it through the box,
box.
it just disables fast forward.
Oh, the worst thing happens on the web though, where like if you DVR it, and then for what sometimes you try to play it, and it's just like unavailable to play. But guess what? You can watch it on demand.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened.
And then it's like, oh well, the on demand has a fuck ton of commercials, and you're like, well, that's not the same. That's not great. What do you mean that's great?
It's really hard to watch an MTV show with commercials because they're so frequent. And then with all of the recapping constantly, it's like I never get to see any progress because I'm just watching like what just happened, what's about to happen. And then they do this like crazy spoilers right before the commercial cuts where they like show you about like what's about to happen. And so then I'm just like, oh, it's just the worst. Because I usually just skip past all that crap. And,
this is when I just watch it on the side where I'm like half watching it. I don't really care if there's commercials or not.
Whew, yeah. But the last thing I was watching, so the cliffhanger at the end of the last episode was I can't remember the guy's name. Basically, dude is getting arrested for punching a guy at a bar.
Ooh.
So it was a good drinking night in Floribama.
Yeah. I'm like I've seen 2 episodes this season. I'm behind. I did watch. Fights, I did watch the next episode of Churchill's Secret Agents, though.
Oh, thumbs up.
It's very similar to the first episode, to be honest.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm
there's some pretty funny shots of these like women, or these not just the women, the men too, of like attempting to do like these like super aggressive, like kind of Krav Maga type moves on people, on like not on people, but on like dummies, like
nice.
Elbows to like the head and like stuff, and like it looks funny for people to be doing stuff like that. Like, it's super unrealistic. Oh yeah, these people are definitely not going to move while you're trying to fucking hit them with your elbow. Like you run it, they're like running at these things like. Like elbowing people, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's good training. Definitely gonna work.
Is there a lot more surprising them with fake gunfire?
No.
Oh no.
Again, I was kind of half watching, so maybe.
Oh okay.
So somewhat spoiler.
Ooh,
one person leaves the next episode.
Only one person in the next episode.
Only one person. Man. Do you want to guess who it is, or do you not want to be spoiled?
I don't want to be spoiled. I also don't know who to guess. So it's someone I would be able to guess.
It was a surprising person. So
it was a surprising person. Not Alistair Stanley, was it?
Who is Alistair Stanley? No.
I guess not.
No, I know. I do know the guy's real name.
Oh,
but like, if you know who Alistair Stanley's real name was, then I could tell you if he was the one they kicked off or not. Like, is he the blonde guy that was like really cocky?
No.
Okay.
Was that the guy who kicked off?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was the only other guy I remember.
All right.
I think that, I think it's worth a watch. Let's give you that. Anyone else got any updates that we're talking about? Any other shows that we've been watching?
I got something, but I'm going to save it.
You save it?
I'm going to save it for, I think Harrison has to be here for this one. So.
You watching the challenge?
It's not the challenge. All right.
Can we get a
Teen
tease?
Mom?
I have finished Solitary 3.0.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Did you watch it with the crop formatting too?
The other episodes are not cropped as badly.
Oh, okay. Just like, I don't know if I can watch that whole show. I
screwed something up when we watched the first one. But anyway, yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I watched all.
When I got the photo for that episode, it was still definitely cropped.
Okay. Well, yeah. The other episodes aren't bad. And yeah, I watched all 8 episodes. So
did the person?
No, that's why. Like, I want to like. Does Harrison want the spoiler warning or not? So I gotta wait till he's here. Then
he can stop listening to the podcast.
I'll give my non-spoilery take on it, which was that it's. Remember, one thing we discussed was sort of the challenge is to keep going until everyone quits.
Yeah,
and that part of Rob's strategy should be he knows the optimal time to quit. That's definitely not what happens. Like, there's definitely a point where they're like, okay, we've gone far enough. Some people have quit. We're just going to end it. And Rob's strategy is I need to never quit and just keep going until they tell me I'm done and I don't need to do it anymore. And that's so that was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah,
but it's still
that's
kind of,
obviously the best. That's obviously the strategy. If they just go long enough and they stop you.
yeah, exactly. So,
Like that's not the best strategy if they let you go until you quit,
right.
which
So,
is the best way to run that show.
yeah. Well, we were wondering about that, and so that's like my take on that. And so like they do a food challenge with like you have to go until you quit or you throw up.
Ooh, that's a
And
good challenge for that kind of style.
But that's the thing. It's like, so the person, there's like a food thing you have to do, but if you don't do it, you get a penalty. And so the person just stops trying to do the main thing and only trying to do the penalties. And then eventually throws up doing the penalties. And then it's like, well, I didn't want to quit, but I guess because I threw up, now I'm out. And so that one felt kind of,
Like, is the food thing like how many you eat then?
So yeah, they had different things of how many they eat, and whoever ate the fewest had to do a penalty. And so they just stopped trying to eat and just accepted they were always going to do the penalty for doing the fewest.
But then aren't you going to get kicked out?
That's the thing. Like she didn't want to give up because she kept doing the penalties until she threw up. And she's like, I didn't want to give up, but now my body's given up, so I need to quit.
Weird.
So that was weird. But there's also one where a guy just starts there to have to do these laps, and he used to do penalties, and he just keeps screwing up the penalties. Like they don't tell him he's done; they just be like, "Okay, you have to do another penalty," and they just like make him keep doing stuff until he finally decides he's done. That was kind of fun.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Of all the shows we watched to finish Solitary. All right. Well, I think that does it for us this week. You can find us on twitter.com/whoputthison. You can find us on facebook.com/whoputthison. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. Please rate us on iTunes. It definitely helps. And we'll see you guys next time.
And we're on Spotify now.
We are.
Spotify. Listen up.